And so that really started very close to a year's worth of exploration. I made a list of all the reasons that I drank, and I asked a lot of my friends why they drank, and I had this huge long list, and I just started going through it methodically and saying, okay, relieve stress. What does the science say? Does it really relieve stress? And lo and behold, does the opposite. And there's all these neurochemical reactions as to why. Okay, enjoyment, having fun, pleasure. What does the science say? Again, alcohol, repeated drinking actually steals your brain's ability to process normal pleasures, right? Who knew? So, over and over, every single thing that I'd been told that alcohol does, it did pretty much the opposite. And I was left with this like, well, why then are we drinking this substance in like not only levels that are just crazy? I mean, I knew with my build and my height that like 2 bottles of wine was an insane amount of alcohol to be drinking. But like why is it that like when I talk to people about this at all, it's like, "Oh, you're not the one with the problem. I've never even seen you drunk." Like there's this threshold for being a problem, and I got really curious about that and, realized that alcohol is one of the only things that, and I guess you could expand it to any substance addiction, but that 100% is success and 99.9% is failure. And then I looked into studies about that, and I realized that there's a lot of evidence and a lot of studies that say like actually a compassion-led approach, an approach that's full of grace. And the more somebody treats their mistakes, not as mistakes, but as part of the path, as learning, instead of abject failures that they should be punished and shamed for, um, the faster they do recover. And I, at that moment, also learned about something called spontaneous sobriety, which is basically people recovering without any formal treatment. So never walking into a meeting, never going into rehab, and learned that not only is it more effective percentage wise, but it lasts longer and has more longevity, according to the research that I read. And I was like, okay, what is this thing? And it was fascinating because my dad is someone who's spontaneously sober. He would call himself a very serious alcoholic in his early 20s. And I don't know if it was when I was starting to come along or what happened, but one day he just up and stopped. He just was done. He reached his threshold. He's done. It's been 40 some years. He's just done. And and he's not the type of person that if somebody's like saying, "Oh, I bought this $150 bottle of wine. You want to have a sip, Jordan?" He'd be like, "Sure, I'll have a sip," but he wouldn't have a glass. He doesn't want it, right? But like he's not. So some people would be like, "Well, he's not even sober." And he doesn't care if he's sober or not. It's totally irrelevant to him. Like it's not even a conversation in his life. And I was like, "Okay, that's so interesting. Like that's what I want my goal to be." I don't necessarily want my goal to be sobriety or long-term recovery. I want my goal to be that alcohol is small and irrelevant for me, that it doesn't take up my brain space, that I'm not defined by this. And the most amazing thing, Lynn, was that through that process of research and discovery and understanding why we found ourselves in the place we found ourselves and why specifically I found myself in the place I found myself, my desire to drink left. It was uncanny. And I remember walking out of my office and telling my husband, like, I think I'm done drinking. Like, if you want to split a bottle of wine, we can do it. But I think I'm not really going to drink after this. And that was almost 5 years ago. And yeah, just gone. And it is amazing because people will say, well, are you sober? And I'm like, no, I drink as much as I want whenever I want. I just literally have not wanted to have a drink in 5 years now. And that for me is a place of really true freedom of making it really small and irrelevant.
Hello, this is Lynn Fraser with the Kiloby Center Radical Recovery Summit. We are so excited to bring you the lineup for January 10th to 19th, 2020. Go to radicalrecoverysummit.com to see the new headliners for 2020 and to sign up. You can watch free January 10th to 19th or buy an all access pass.